Hi, this is Yoshua from ALP. Welcome to another of our how-tos. This video is all about how to write an audio course and audio lesson. And we cover why you would want to write for audio in a different video and a different blog, which you can go find on our website on alpaudio.com. But today we're really going to dive into how to write an audio course and an audio lesson. And we'll start off with the fact that when you're writing for audio and when you're writing for an audio lesson, you want to be making sure that the content that you're writing fits the user and your learner at the end of the day. This isn't writing for a book and it's not writing for a newsletter. This is writing so that your learners, your users will be listening to your lessons and learning probably while they're doing other things, because that is why we love audio, right? It's convenience. You can be listening to it wherever you are doing anything. And so what that requires from us, from the writers, is keeping that front and center when we write our content. Now, this really comes down to three things. One is you want to be writing for audio, and we'll go into that in a minute what that means. And two is you want to be writing for education, right? You want to be writing to teach. And three is you want to be writing for audio education. And it's kind of fusing those two worlds, and it's honestly, it's its own unique branch, because writing for audio education is actually a little bit different than writing from classical education. And we'll be covering all of that in the next 3 minutes. If you want to go in depth, I highly recommend that you visit our blog. It's alpaudio.com/how to write an audio course. So we'll start off with rules for audio writing, this is the really, the TLDR. Audio is all about focusing what you want your learners to remember, what you want your users and audience to hear and remember. So you have to tightly focus your idea, and you have to make that focus clear to your listeners. You have to let them know what to expect. Why? And this relates to focusing and making your idea tight, because in audio, we can't just scroll up and down. We don't know where we're going. And so you have to paint this mental map for your listeners. And that connects to the next point, which is really keep it simple. Keep it simple and be repetitive. You have to tell them what you'll tell them, and then you have to tell them, and then you have to tell them what you told them. It's really what it's all about. So tightly focus your ideas, make that focus clear to your listeners, create a sense of movement and momentum, and tell your audience what to expect, and be repetitive, right? Tell them what you'll tell them, and then tell them what you told them. That's kind of the 1-2 for writing for audio. When it comes to education, we're actually not going to dive into how to write a lesson plan because there's just a lot of material on that, Bloom's taxonomy, which you can Google on, what are you trying to achieve in your lesson plan. But we are going to dive into audio education. And there are a few points about audio education that you have to keep in mind. The main one is I like to think about it in terms of cognitive overload. So when your listeners are doing something else, they're multitasking, there's a finite limit to what our working memory can hold in mind all at once. And so when you're teaching someone, you have to make sure that what you are trying to get across really sticks before you move on to your next topic. And you have to make sure this goes into the repetition and the keeping it simple that we just talked about. But you really have to make sure that those chunks of information sink in properly into someone's mind. Otherwise, it's really hard to move on. And that's why you have to really think about the length of your material and the length of your sentences, paragraphs, and ideas. Make sure they are short, make sure they are concise, make sure you're being repetitive, bang, 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 making sure that someone gets it quickly. And signpost, tell them where they've been, tell them where they're going.